Welcome to the Misconceptions of the IT Industry. In this episode, I will be discussing the importance of having your own documentation, instructional notes, and a system to organize them in an IT support role. These three things are important for you to have because the success of your career depends on it. If you don't have these things, it's going to be a very long and stressful day at the job. IT documentation for installing. Configuring and troubleshooting IT software and hardware refers to the written instructions that detail the process for setting up, configuring, and resolving issues with various IT software and hardware. This documentation can include step-by-step instructions for installing and configuring software or hardware, as well as troubleshooting guides for resolving common issues. It can also include information on system requirements, configuration settings, and other details that are important for the successful installation, configuration, and maintenance of IT software and hardware. The documentation is typically created and maintained by IT professionals to ensure that the systems are set up and configured correctly and that any issues that arise can be quickly and easily resolved. As an IT professional in a system support role such as a help desk technician, desktop support technician, system administrator, network administrator, or any role where you have a responsibility of providing support to customers, you will be responsible for installing and configuring and maintaining a large number of computer applications and hardware at your job. It's impossible to remember how to configure them all, and that is where documentation comes in. Having documentation allows you to keep track of all the different configurations you have set up for different users and applications. For example, a widely used application like Microsoft Outlook can have multiple different configurations that you might have to set up for different users. And as a help desk or desktop support technician, one user might need for you to set up rules that forward their mail to a particular folder, or while another user might need for you to change the way their email appears on the screen. But it's not just about keeping track of configurations. Without documentation, you will suffer a lot of consequences. For example, when you encounter technology-related problems on a daily basis, you need to have documentation to troubleshoot them. Some of the consequences of not having your own IT documentation can be very significant. Some of the potential negative effects can include difficulty in identifying and resolving issues that frequently arise with technology. This can lead to increased downtime and decreased system availability, which will cause a loss of productivity for the company. A higher risk of systems being set up and configured in an inconsistent manner, which can lead to errors and problems. Important information about the configurations and troubleshooting solutions for technology systems can be lost when an IT professional leaves the company or when an issue arises with a system that has not been worked on in some time. What makes things worse is that the documentation you have from the vendor might not always tell you everything you need to know. That is why you have to create your own instructional notes that will fill in the gaps that exist with vendors' documentation and continue to troubleshoot the problem. There will be times when you follow the vendor documentation to the T and the software still won't work. In these situations, you will have to troubleshoot the problem to see what's wrong and fix it. After you troubleshoot the problem, you have to use your instructional notes to document what the problem is and what's the resolution. Now, this is where an organization system is so important. With all the documentation and instructional notes you will accumulate as an IT professional, you have to have a system that organizes them so you can retrieve them when you need them. Whether you're installing, configuring, setting up, or troubleshooting hardware or software on a daily basis, having a simple organization system will make sure that you can retrieve your documentation and instructional notes on a second notice. One common and easily avoidable stressor for inexperienced IT professionals is troubleshooting problems that they know how to fix, but have forgotten due to a lack of proper documentation or organization of instructional notes. When these situations occur, it can be very stressful as the IT professional knows the solution, but is unable to locate their notes. This stress could have been easily avoided by implementing a good documentation and instructional notes organization system. This is a common issue among inexperienced IT professionals in support roles. A well-organized documentation and instructional notes system is essential for IT professionals, especially those in support roles. When an IT professional is troubleshooting a problem, they may have dealt with the issue before and know the solution. But if they don't have a good way to organize and access their notes, they will have difficulty finding the information they need. This can lead to stress and frustration as the IT professional knows the solution, but is unable to locate the necessary documentation to implement it. Additionally, if the IT professional is unable to find the solution quickly, it can lead to delays in resolving the problem and dissatisfaction from the customer who reported the issue. A good documentation and instructional notes organization system can help IT professionals quickly and easily access the information they need to troubleshoot and resolve problems. This can include things like detailed instructions on how to fix specific issues, especially those that are well known, and contact information for vendors or other resources. IT professionals can then refer to this information to resolve problems more quickly and efficiently, reducing stress and improving overall job satisfaction. In addition to the benefits we've already discussed, having your own documentation also improves communication and collaboration within your team. When you document your configurations and troubleshooting solutions, it allows other members of your team to understand what has been done and pick up where you left off. This can save a lot of time and reduce the risk of errors when passing on tasks or projects to others. Another benefit of having your own documentation is that it can serve as a training tool for new employees or interns. Instead of having to spend time training them on how to set up or troubleshoot specific software or hardware, they can refer to the documentation you've created. This can save a lot of time and resources for your organization. Another important aspect of documentation is keeping it up to date. With the rapid pace of technology advancements, software and hardware can become outdated quickly. This means that the configurations and troubleshooting solutions that you documented may no longer be relevant or accurate. It is important to regularly review your documentation and update it as needed. This could be done on a regular schedule or in response to a major update or upgrade of the software or hardware. This will ensure that your documentation is always accurate and useful. However, it is important to note that creating and maintaining documentation can be time-consuming and requires discipline. It is easy to fall behind on documenting new configurations or troubleshooting resolution, especially when you are dealing with a high volume of tasks. But the benefits of having your own documentation far outweighs the time and effort it takes to create and maintain it. To ensure your documentation is effective, it is important to make sure that it is clear and easy to understand. Use a consistent format, include screenshots or diagrams if necessary, and make sure the information is organized in a logical manner. You should also make sure that your documentation is easily accessible to those who need it. Whether it's stored on a shared drive or in a cloud-based document management system, make sure that it is easy for others to find and access. In conclusion, having your own documentation for software and hardware installation and configuration is essential for any IT professional. It helps to keep track of configuration, troubleshoot problems, improve communication and collaboration, and serves as a training tool for new employees. But it's not just about creating the documentation, it's about maintaining it and making sure it is clear, easy to understand, and easily accessible to those who need it. It's also important to keep it up to date. By keeping this in mind, you will see the benefits of having your own documentation in your daily job tasks as an IT professional. This episode of the Misconceptions of the IT Industry, the importance of having your own documentation, instructional notes, and organization system and IT support role has come to an end. Stay tuned for future episodes of the Misconceptions of the IT Industry. Until then, farewell.